Hello, this is Encounters with Life. I'm Sean Abigail, your host. I wanted to make one more video before the upcoming election on Monday, and the way things go with videos, you get a little bump at the beginning of viewers, and it goes flat for a little while, then you get another bump, and a day later, and then another bump. So realistically, this is the last video that people are going to watch before the election. And I thought about talking about the narrowing of the polls. I thought about get out the vote efforts. I thought about the reiterating the path to victory for the Conservatives. But there's something else I want to talk about, and that is hope. So back in January of 2025, a Canadian policy think tank, Policy Horizons Canada, which is run by the Canadian federal government, back in January, they came out with a report, Future Lives, Social Mobility in Question. And this got a little bit of press, but not very much. And I would have thought that this would have been like one of the driving factors in the election, that everybody would be talking about it. But that has not been the case. Why? Because I think Canadians have been distracted by Donald Trump. There's an orange man in the White House, and he's taking up everyone's mind space. He's living rent-free in their heads. And I think that what we really have to do is focus on the Canada that we want, not the short-term Donald Trump effect, but the Canada we want. And a lot of Canadians have not participated in that Canada. And if this report is to be believed, a lot of Canadians are not going to be participating. Social mobility is hugely important. The idea that you can have a better life than your parents, and for parents, that your children will have a better life than you. That's been part of the Canadian dream for maybe 100 years. Maybe it's always been that way. I don't know. But what we're finding these days is that people realistically say, I'm not going to have a better life than my parents. And this is something that is going to affect us socially as a country, the country that we want. So let's have a look at this report, just a little bit, just a few highlights, and then I'm going to say something at the end about what I think this means for the federal election. So, Section 2 of this report says, more snakes than ladders. This is a reference to the game of snakes and ladders, where you climb a ladder to go up, or if you hit the wrong square, you hit a snake and you go down. And so the idea is you want upward ladders of mobility, so you can have a better life, so that you can have a comfortable life. If you were born into a family that is poor, you can make it to the middle class. If you were born into a middle class family, you can make it to the upper middle class, and so on. So it says here in 2040, so this is the view for the year 2040, upward social mobility is almost unheard of in Canada. Hardly anyone believes that they can build a better life for themselves or their children through their own efforts. However, many worry about sliding down the social order. This scenario identifies 6 main ways the world has changed since 2024. So the first of the 6 points is with regards to post-secondary education. And this policy think tank believes that in the year 2040, pursuing post-secondary education is no longer considered a reliable path to social mobility. So when I was growing up, it was impressed on me, get your education. You get your education and doors will open for you. But that's not the case anymore. And if this is to be believed, in 2040, it will be widely discounted. Second of all, housing. In 2040, owning a house is not a realistic goal for many. Well, that's true today. That's the reality in Canada. I talk to young people, and they have no viable path. They are realists. They have no viable path at the moment to home ownership. And that's a bitter pill to swallow. Third point that they raise, intergenerational wealth. In 2040, people see inheritance as the only reliable way to get ahead. One of the reasons why I started this channel, why I started making videos, is because I talked to a lot of young people who didn't have any idea about how to save for retirement and how to build a financial future for themselves. So I made some videos on that topic, and those videos are still out there. They're some of the first videos that I made. But realistically, the way we're going, people are saying, look, it's never been easy to save, but now it's impossible. I can't even pay for my rent. I can't buy a house. I can't pay for my rent. I can't buy anything, and so I can't save anything for my future. So will intergenerational wealth, getting an inheritance, be the only way for people to get ahead? That's what it's looking like. Section 2.4, social siloing. In 2040, people rarely mix with others of different socioeconomic status. And it's becoming easier and easier to live in a silo. If you, for instance, work from home, you're not out there meeting people. If you are on your social media, you're probably just talking to people who agree with you, people who are from the same sort of background as you, and so on. So this is a real problem. And what is Canada going to do about it? What do we want for our children? That's a huge question. 2.5, aspirations and expectations. In 2040, aspirations for social mobility among youth are at odds with expectation of immobility. And advertising is continuing to build, getting more and more sophisticated all the time, targeting ads and so on for consumption. So you've got to have the latest pair of high-end running shoes. And you've got to have the latest upgraded iPhone every year. You've got to have it. And this is what the expectations are for young people. And the reality is a gig economy, an economy where you've got a job with no benefits, with minimum wage, you're living paycheck to paycheck. What does it do to a society when people have aspirations to have good things and they can't have anything? I think that results in social instability. And finally, section 2.6, artificial intelligence. In 2040, the value of human labor has shrunk because of artificial intelligence. Now, I don't know what to say about this one because this is not something that we can address, I think, in a federal election. But I believe that within 2 years, you're going to see a lot of jobs being taken over by AI. It's already happening. It's already in the knowledge economy. People are losing their jobs. It's something I'm following. I'm glad that I'm kind of at the tail end of my career, so to speak. I think I've still got a lot to add, but I'm glad that I don't think my job is going to get taken over yet, but I would not advise people to go in building a 30-year career in a field where AI can take over. Okay, so that's the Canada of 2040. Now, the question we have now in 2025 is, what kind of society do we want? And rather than focusing on, Donald Trump is scary, Donald Trump is bad, we don't like him, he's orange. Instead of this obsession with Donald Trump, we need to have an obsession with building a strong economy. Because the way governments tend to function, they'll look at a problem and say, yes, we need a government program to solve this. We'll mail out checks for $100 to all these people. You know what? Today's youth don't need a check for $100. They need a job that's going to get them skills. They need a job that's going to take them to the next level. Somebody making $15 an hour, they don't need a check for $100 a month from the government. They need a job that pays $20 an hour or $25 an hour, something that helps them get ahead. Well, who do you think is going to do the best job on the economy? That's the question. I don't think it's going to be Mark Carney. I think more of the same liberal elitism is going to just hurt us. It's going to hurt the young people. And really, this election is about young people. It is about young Canadians. It is about building the Canada that we want. Well, that's what I think. What do you think? As always, I love to hear your comments. And I really appreciate every subscription. I know it's a small channel, and I'm with a small viewership. I'm not going to make a difference in this election, but I had to get out my thoughts. I had to say what's really on my heart in this election. So, what do you think? Let me know. I'm Sean Abigail. That's Encounters with Life.